Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 3, Episode 11 of Superman and Lois. Great episode, a lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, obviously we see because Apia's in much better condition and also her powers have expanded, she's creating noise all over, not even noise, but making it sound like there's shootings and stuff happening because she's trying to keep everyone so widespread so no one can, fully locate where they are. So it's it's keeping Clark on his toes, it's keeping the cops on their toes because it's they're responding to things that aren't actually happening. It's geez, that's a very unnerving ability, especially utilized in that regard. Applying what we've seen her use it for over the course of the series, so far, and now seeing it kind of utilized in this regard because it's meant to be their getaway. So, because with this, they're going to disappear, which is kind of sad that, Mateo, his entire life is going to be, him on a run with his parents. But for him, it's it's worth it. Even if I have to sacrifice my relationship with Natalie, even though I was falling in love, it doesn't matter. I get to keep you around, Mom. So that's all that matters. But then we see that, there's still complications. Of course, the cure wasn't going to come without its, it was never going to be, a full success. And so eventually it gets to the point that Pia's abilities start going haywire to the point she can't control them anymore and it's spreading out. And obviously I was kind of worried. I was dude, is she going to have her Black Bolt moment? Because I can't believe it never crossed my mind. I was obviously there's similarities between her and Black Bolt, but I can't believe it didn't cross my mind. But this episode in particular, I was is she going to have her Black Bolt moment? And she kind of did when she ended up killing Bruno's right-hand dude. It's just he was there 1 minute, next moment he's a splattering of blood on the side of the train. So that's wild. Obviously, it sucks for that dude, but it could have been a lot worse. It could have been Mateo or Bruno. Hence why I was saying Black Bolt. I don't know if that's true to Black Bolt's story in the comics of him accidentally killing his parents like that. I'd assume so, but that's why I was kind of I hope that's not the case. But it is this interesting and very heartbreaking side of things because, once again, at the heart of it, yes, Bruno's done some bad things, but it's still that complicated thing of everything he's done, at least more recently, has been, you can make the argument everything he did beforehand was I'm saving my city, I am making a better world for the woman I love and eventually their child, and it just, in this particular case, it's I'm doing everything I can to save the woman I love, and it just hasn't worked. And that desperation to want to save someone you care about, it's understandable. That, once again, doesn't make everything he's done right, but that's a complicated thing that anyone can understand, and it kind of amounted to nothing. It's just even to the point, Bruno, he's all right, we just got to give you one more shot, and they tried to give her one more injection, it still didn't work. I wonder, did that exasperate things and make it even worse? Or, it probably, expedited, how much time she had left anyway. She was already in the state from the first shot. At least that gave her a little more time. But obviously that second shot probably shortened that even more, maybe. And Bruno was probably hoping, if he gave her some more, it'll be fine. But for her, it's you have to finally let me go, Bruno. We've gone too far, and for her, it's just Mateo's panicking. He wants to get help. Because, there's obviously, there's just so much happening at once. Obviously, you have, Natalie wanting to see Mateo because she understands it's yes, he did a bad thing, but it shouldn't, he's not a bad dude. It's just, he wanted to do something for his mom, which, obviously, John Henry, understands that, but it's at the end of the day, this ain't even about his parents, this is about you. Because if Mateo's found, he might get locked up in a DOD facility, probably maybe for the rest of his life. And then also, even if he doesn't and he's out there in the wind with his parents, I don't want you waiting, because he knows what it's like to live your life in the past, how much it's taken him to try and take those steps forward, and he doesn't want that for Natalie. He wants her to be able to live her life in the present, not chasing ghosts of the past, But for her, it's she just wanted to talk to Mateo one more time, Just to kind of get, all her feelings off her chest. So, there's that. There's also Lois's surgeries happening, which, obviously PS powers are having an effect on the entire city. The power comes going in and out. Even some of their backup generators at the hospital are being affected. But Lois wants to see this through now because it's I worked up the courage. It took everything to have the courage to be okay, to face this head on. but I think I mean, it's a terrifying thing to be like, I don't know if I have it in me to be, I don't want to even go through having to build that courage back up, especially because she had so much support. She got her entire family support. She's got Lana and John Henry Irons and Natalie's support, so she doesn't want to like have to like waste that support and strength and courage that she's built up in this situation, because there's a part of her that's probably scared, if I don't do it now, I might not be able to build the courage up again to be able to face this. So Clark wants to do everything he can to make sure that Lois is okay, that everything can go off without a hitch. I mean, you tie into those complications, which is the title of the episode. You also have, obviously, Jordan's having a panic attack, and like everything going on between him and Sarah, which we'll get to later, is kind of sent him, and in fact Sarah too, into kind of free fall mode. And now it's just like, right, he's panicking because he's having basically a panic attack in the hospital because of hearing all, like, oh, there could be complications, but it's like his mom, like, it's like, right, getting introduced to all these doctors and all these nurses, these people who are going to be in the room during the surgery, and he starts panicking. And then his x-ray vision kicks in, which I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't think about that. I'm so idiotic. I never focused too, like, I keep forgetting, like, right, Jordan's, I mean, the same thing happened to Clark. I mean, we didn't really, I mean, you got into Smallville, so you'd assume it's applicable in this regard of, like, his ability slowly, like, they didn't all activate at once. It's like, right, he's got heat vision, he's got the cold breath, he's got the superhuman strength, and he's got flight and super speed, obviously. But it's like, yeah, he doesn't have one of the key abilities, X-ray vision, and it kicks in his time. And obviously, it's like, considering everything going on, he's panicking, but luckily, Jonathan's there to kind of calm him down. And I think you see that smile across Clark's face, because I think for him, I think Jonathan's always had a special way with Jordan. I mean, it makes sense. Like, not only are you brothers, you're twins, so there's an even deeper connection there where it's like, I can help you through this, And even he's like, yo, you need to like calm down, because also it's like this, like, everything going on, mom's surgery, you need to calm down, you need to like take a deep breath for mom's sake, and that's what kind of was able to ground him. And especially in Jonathan, he's like, anytime like I kind of have something bad, all I have is that something bad. At least when you have like a bad situation, you gain another super ability. So, but for Jordan, it's still a thing of like, why do my powers always come about at the worst time? It's like, yeah, because they're driven by like heightened emotions and stuff like that, which I think is even like, because obviously we know that that's an even like, that was applicable to Clark, but it's even more applicable with Jordan's circumstances, that his emotions being even more heightened. Like, of course, how that, it doesn't get talked about a lot, but it's still like a part of Jordan's character about, God, I forgot the exact wording. They haven't, once again, they don't like, haven't verbally talked about it since like season 1, but it's like that, God, what is it? Was it like, I think is it anxiety disorder? Is that what Jordan has? I forgot what he has. It's something like that. It's some kind of, it's like I want to say it's something like that. It's like some kind of like anxiety thing he has. I can't remember what it's called again, but it like his emotions kind of fluctuate the way that they do. And like, having superpowers on top of that, with I think he's learned how to kind of ground, especially with his family and especially with his brothers, learn how to kind of ground himself. And I think that's kind of helped in those regards. But it's like, yeah, every time he's like panicking, especially because like, obviously the heat vision, cold breath were dangerous situations, but like the super hearing thing hit him pretty hard. So I'm sure but it seems like he's able to kind of ride the wave of this X-ray situation. He adapted to it pretty quickly. So, but I think it's kind of like, I need to adapt to this quickly because of the circumstances. So he's able to kind of utilize it. It's like, I'm not even going to look that way because that woman in that room just gave birth to triplets. So I'm not even going to look in that direction. But circling back to the whole Pia of it all, while this is all happening, like it's starting to have obviously massive effects across Metropolis, and Natalie showed up because she wanted to help Mateo. The moment it's like, hey, Mateo shows up, voice activated, left something behind that be voice activated, she rushes there, and her dad follows her, but he's not there to take down Bruno. It's like, right, let's put our stuff aside for long enough for me to help you, because even Natalie's like, I'm here to help. And so, but sadly, there was nothing they could do for Pia, and even Clark, like obviously he's the only person that could get that close to her without it, killing him. And he's just like, let me help you, but she's like, there's nothing you can do. She's just like, I gotta be there for my husband and my son. I can't leave them like this. And Clark told her it was okay. He gave her permission to let go, which obviously it's that whole thing about telling someone to kind of be okay with letting go. Like that's something he's had to kind of learn and process and deal with. Like that maybe hopefully it won't come to that, but there will be a point where maybe he has to tell that to Lois at one point in time, and I think that's something that's going to be rattling through his mind. Like if it comes down to it, will I have to say that same thing to Lois, and will I have the strength to say that? Because it's a different thing. It sucks because it's like, right, you're Superman. I want to be able to save someone, and it's like looking at Pia. It's a representation of here's something I can't help Lois with. Like, obviously, Pia's circumstances are even more enhanced because it's powers involved as well. But at least in, like Lois's case of her cancer, I couldn't do anything for her. Like, I can't punch it. I can't fight that. And the same thing in Pia's case. It's just, like, probably on some level it's going to be the thing of, if I can't save Pia, like, how do I know I can save Lois? And that's something he struggled with this season as well. Not being able to do anything. Obviously, the nightmares and stuff, so... But it's also like in you as like just a superhero in general of like, hey, I want to save the day. I want to save people. I want to protect people's lives, and I can't do anything for her. And all he could do is just give her the permission to let go. It's like, it's okay for you to let go because she's holding on so tightly because she doesn't want it to end like this. It's just like anyone in life just wants a little bit more time. And she got that, but it's still, that's the sad thing. It's never going to be enough. You always want a little bit more time. That's what Bruno wanted. More time. But even just a little. He tried to aim for the stars, and that's always a sad thing of like, fly too close to the sun, Icarus and all that. So, and sadly, these wax wings ended up melting in this regard, and Clark ended up, listening to Pia's final message and took her into the sky, so her powers erupt. It doesn't affect, like, destroy a whole city block or even more. And sadly, she died, and it's like, right, her final words were to Bruno and Matteo that she loves them forever and always. And it's sad that it came down to that. And even Lois's surgery goes off without a hitch. I mean, there were complications, but luckily Jordan was there to kind of help when that, I think it was like a nitrogen tank was about to fall over, but like luckily swooped, like he zoomed in there, put it back, and everything was good. But now, like, Lois learns, like, her friend is gone, and that sucks too, just because it's like, right, this is someone who's also in a similar circumstance as me, who also kind of lost that. It's kind of sad. And also the parallels of, like, right, she's going through this surgery at the same time Pia ended up dying. It's like, that's got to be crossing her mind. And to the point that, Clark talks about it later on that, hey, this, seeing Pia like that, because he also... I don't think he ever looked at Lois' insides, and I'm sure her insides and her circumstances are different, but it's like he saw an x-ray look at Pia, so I'm assuming that probably plays a lot in it, but it's like, I got to see what you were struggling with, and once again, it's a more enhanced version with Pia because of her powers, but still, so he wants to make sure he can do whatever he can to, make sure her, these next couple of days are going to be as painless as possible, as she's kind of, she's going to have pain for a while post-surgery. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that kind of all plays out, how that all plays out in their heads with everything going on. But going really quickly back to the whole Sarah of it all, it's kind of really sad. Like, I think... I brought it up before. I understand where Sarah's coming from and also understand where Jordan's coming from. I'm leaning more towards Sarah, like, that she's got, like, a lot on her plate because she's like, it's my fault. Jordan, like, doesn't even want to talk to me anymore. And I'm also the reason why Mr. Kent had to, like, reveal his secrets, because Dad wouldn't have been there in the first place if, because Clark couldn't, like, Clark didn't get to kind of tell Kyle in his own time. It's kind of, I was like, well, my hands were forced because of last episode. But then her and Jordan have this complicated thing where she's like, all right, I thought we were friends. And he's like, I thought we were too. But I meant everything I said. And because for him, it's like, you're only apologizing because I saved your life. And it's like, I don't know. There might be some truth to that. It's like, yeah, I mean, I can't really be pissy towards you when you say mom. It's a complicated thing. Like, I don't think that's all there is to it. I think it is just like Sarah's like, no. I want to, like, I was upset. I didn't mean to say what I said. But, like, I can also see why Jordan would think that. It's like, no, I saved your life. Like, do you really, like, because you know, you can't really be, how are you going to be mad at the person that kind of saved your life? It's that, but it's also like, I don't think that's applicable in this case, but I can see why Jordan would think like that. You know, especially, once again, he's kind of in his own, like, emotional free fall like she is, with just everything going on. And even doubling down and saying, like, he meant what he said. It's just like, I think it's just, he's heartbroken and angry. And once again, it's like, you're teenagers, your emotions are naturally going to be all over the place. Like, everything feels like the end of the world in some regards. But also, once again, these are also two people who have their own, you know, mental and emotional struggles. So it is going to be a little tougher on them in their respective circumstances compared to other, like, teenagers, you know? In Sarah's case, it didn't even cross my mind until, like, they dabbled in it where, like, she didn't sleep. She's, like, blaming herself. She's like, I ruined everything. Jordan hates me. I ruined our friendship. And because of a DUI is going to stay on my record, like, I ruined my own life. And, like, she's spiraling. And Lana's like, oh, you need to talk to your therapist. It didn't even cross my mind. I'm like, wow, like, because it comes up still, obviously. I think the last time they referenced it was last season when Mayor Dean was going to, like, potentially they were worried about him using Sarah's, no, they were saying, like, he was going to use Sarah's circumstances of her trying to, you know, kill herself, that going to use that against Lana, against her in her campaign and stuff. So I didn't even think about, like, right, this would, like, send you spiraling a little bit. And it scared Lana because she didn't fully see that. She saw the signs, but she didn't know where it could have led before, and she's scared that it might repeat itself. And so it's like, she went to Kyle, and it's like, well, it's, you know, he's like a DUI, and she's like, yeah, but I haven't seen Sarah like this since. And Kyle's like, okay. And so they both sat her down, and Kyle didn't get too much into it, but he talks about the fact is that he kind of has his own, like, depression story about how he solved it with alcohol. He's not saying that Sarah is an alcoholic, but it's like, it's a symptom of a larger issue, that it's like, right, he used alcohol to kind of dull what he was feeling. Losing a parent, like, didn't help with that. And he said, he did, like I said, he didn't go into specifics, but he's like, I did something. I made a mistake. And it wasn't even just about the affair. It was something, it sounds like it's something he did when he was younger, maybe in a similar circumstance. And he's like, because of that, you know, I know what it's like to kind of have that mistake stay with you. But for him, it's like, he hopes that if Sarah can learn from his mistake, then it was worth it in the end. But and he talks to her about being grounded in this, and you know, finding something to ground herself, because it's like, you know, set aside your shame, like your guilt and your fear, and find something that you can be proud of. For him, it's like helping protect this town that I love, and also being your dad are things that help ground me every day. And so they end up giving her a job at the diner, and she's like, really? And it's like, yeah, just kind of, you know, those small first steps. So I thought that was kind of nice. And that ties into everything between him and Chrissy, which I thought was, obviously, like, Chrissy's so excited. She's like, oh my God, you know everything now, so it's cool. I even love him being like, wow. Once again, I never would have thought you were Superman. He's like, okay, sure thing, Superman. He's like, how about just Clark for now? It's like, yeah, understandable. He's like, yeah, I'm so glad you didn't laser beam me back when I pantsed you when we were younger. He's like, yeah, just don't do it again. It's like, don't worry, different people than we were back then. But yeah, Chrissy was so excited, like, oh my God. But for him, it's like, no, I'm not good. You made me feel like an idiot. I came to you, and understandably, Chrissy had to gaslight him, because it's like, no, I can't tell you about the big secret. It's not my secret to share unless I get permission to. And yeah, I get it, because also, it wasn't just Chrissy. Chrissy kind of gaslit him the most, at least like in Sarah and Lana's case. He was just, like, they were, like, dancing around the subject. In Chrissy's, like, Chrissy kind of gaslit him a little bit, but in her defense, she was trying to get him to back off from the story as much as she could. And now it is a situation of But Kyle apologizes later on. He's like, yeah, I am on my road to being a better person, which I think I am. But I can still be a jackass from time to time. I expected her to say that, yeah, but you're my jackass. But it's like, no, but you could, luckily they made it. Because he's like, I do recognize I did overreact, in that situation. It is just a thing of like, you're not an idiot. Like, I get it. It's just, I think he just, because the truth was there and he and he's almost like any like, and I think Chrissy understands that too as a journalist. Is like, right, the truth is there. It's scratch, like when you got that brain scratcher, you're just like, I can't like scratch that itch. Like, of course that's going to like really get to you. So I think she understands that. So luckily but I'm also like, are you about to do it at work? Hopefully you just did some making out and you didn't have sex. Cause I'm like, really? At the workplace? Well, not like they'd be the first person who's couple that's ever done that, but still. So things kind of worked out on that front. Everything obviously seems resolved enough because Bruno is willing to confess about everything he's done as long as it means that his son gets out. It's like, right, drop all the charges against my son because you shouldn't have to pay the rest of your life for my mistakes. You only did what you did because I was trying to save your mom and you wanted to save your mom. So it's like, it is on me. So, and also I'm sure for Bruno, it's like, this way I get to, make sure your mom's wish of you having a normal life gets to continue. So does seem like Sam is willing to kind of play ball in that regard and capacity. So we'll see the aftermath on that front. But then we get our stinger at the end where it turns out that Bizarro is back. And I don't know because of the experiments they've been running, but maybe it's kind of a similar situation that he's on the ticking clock now like the others because you see the way his skin... Because his skin doesn't look as cracked as it did before, like it did last season, because dying and all the, if I remember correctly, wasn't he getting high off kryptonite or something like that? The reason why his skin got cracked and stuff and like why he looks the way he does now. But maybe a lot of that's worn its way out of his... Like his skin seems cracked, but it doesn't seem it doesn't seem as pale as it was before. Maybe it's just the lighting. So I'm curious to see, but you see like his skin, it looked like it was bubbling up. So I think he's kind of a ticking time bomb himself now. Maybe. We don't know the full adverse effects of just everything that Bruno was doing with him. But now he is going to be running rampant. The next episode's title is Injustice, which I was like, ooh, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, what that kind of fully encapsulates. It's not the most outside of just like obviously the Injustice. Like I think it's a comics and obviously even like the animated adaptation and even the NetherRealm video games. The more last time it was kind of used was in the Flash Armageddon crossover. That's a Justice League protocol. It's the Injustice protocol in case any of them ever obviously lost control, just like the Injustice storyline. So that was just kind of neat that to be the next episode's title. I'm like, oh, I'm so curious to see what that fully encapsulates. I could watch the promo, but I don't want to know. I want to go into the next episode knowing as little as possible. But I'm like, oh, I like that episode title, so. Like I said, the season's only 13 episodes, so that should be like the second to last episode of the season. So what that sets up for the season finale, which I have already heard, I got recommended an article that talked about oh yeah, season 3 ends on a cliffhanger. So we'll ultimately have to wait to see what happens in episode 12 and what it ultimately sets up for the season finale. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.